Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world today. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Women with Grit, where we interview dynamic women all around the world who have one thing in common: grit. And as you all can see, we are back. We're so excited to be back for season 6 of Exceptional Women with Grit. This is the place where we talk to dynamic women who are truly doing amazing things around the community. So come on in, grab a drink, grab your favorite beverage, grab a snack. Let your friends know that we are back on, and we are so excited to bring to you another set of amazing women who are truly inspiring and doing phenomenal things. As you all can see, Lee is not with us. We bid him a very safe travels as he is traveling today, but we are going to have so much fun talking to another dynamic woman today, and you all are in for a tremendous treat. So again, welcome to Women with Grit. Go ahead and tag us, like, follow, and share with those who you know can really gain from hearing the stories of a truly inspiring woman. You can find us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Exceptional Women with Grit. You can also find us on YouTube at youtube.com/the @ Women with Grit. Or you can follow us on our website at www.womenwithgrit.com. And I am your host, Sherelle Lance, this evening joined again by my co-host and partner in this, which is Lee Mollett, who cannot be here this evening. So I am so excited that this is Women's History Month, and we are talking to dynamic women who have really done amazing things to change the trajectory for women in their respective industries. And tonight we have none other. I am just so excited and elated to bring before you Twanda Black. So let me share with you a little bit about this amazing powerhouse's story, and then we will get an opportunity to talk to her directly as well. So you know her as Twanda Black, the host of Good News Gospel every Sunday from 7 a.m. to 12 noon on WPGN Radio Atlanta. But there is so much more to this amazing Tampa native. She is a writer, an avid reader, and a photographer. Twanda serves as the Public Affairs Director for KISS 104.1 FM for over 25 years, where she served as the liaison between the station and the community and hosted the public affairs talk show, Business in the Black, every single Sunday. Twanda loves to get use of her public relations and communications degree earned at Berry College on a daily basis. She said, "I love interacting with different people and organizations. It makes for interesting days." Twanda volunteers her time and talent to various organizations, but her heart belongs to issues of food insecurity and senior citizens. She can be found in and around Georgia hosting ceremonies, parties, shows, church events, awards dinners, and other benevolent causes. She was recently honored with the induction into the Black Radio Hall of Fame, the Lifetime Achievement Award for over 4,000 volunteer hours from President Obama. Also, as one of the Atlanta's top 100 women of influence by the Atlanta Business League voted Steeple Awards Best in Media, and she is a board member of the Showability, serving the disability performing arts community, and the PG Network, focusing on independent artist communities. Twanda is the host for the syndicated show Inspirations Across America, airing in 28 markets in the U.S. She also hosts the television show Good News with Twanda Black on the PGN TV network, and hosts the Black Entertainment Gospel Video Show on WCAC TV network, with a viewership of over 600,000 plus homes in Georgia and Alabama. She is also a voiceover talent and a Mary Kay beauty consultant. She is married to Emery with 2 adult sons and is a member of Grace Baptist Church in Stockbridge, Georgia. Please welcome to the stage Miss Twanda Black. Hey, Twanda, thank you so much for
Hi.
joining this evening.
That's a long bio.
I mean, you know what? It's stellar and it speaks to the work. I mean, even the work that you continue to do. So I think that it's worth sharing the nature of your work and your journey with our guests and our viewers, especially just with so much you've done to be so inspiring. So thank you.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
And thank you for taking the time this evening to be on Women with Grit. We love to kick this show off with our guests getting to know a little bit more about you and about your story. So tell us about Twanda Black. What is your unique story of grit?
Woo! um, Growing up here in Atlanta, I'm a Tampa native. My mom married my stepdad, and we came here to live. Grew up in public school, loved it. Was in the band, in symphony and orchestra, marching band, jazz band, all things music. I always loved music. Went off to college, and that's when things got a little bit real for me. Trying to find a job after college with my public relations degree. um, interviewed all over the place. And there was one Caucasian man that told me, he said, "You know why you're not getting any interviews?" I said, "Why?" He said, "Because you're black." I was like, "What? What?" This was in the 80s, okay? So he said, "Yeah, you sound white on the phone." Because everybody was taking my calls and telling me they had positions open until I got there. And your resume is impeccable. You did good in school. He said, but no corporation is going to want a black person to front their corporation. And I just sat there. He just like took the wind out of my sails,
Wow.
literally. Yeah, but he was honest with me. And at that time, I thank you, because I didn't know what was going on. I can't find a job. Good grief. What is this? But somebody in my church, because I was always narrating, always reading, always doing something in church, and somebody in my church says, "You have a great voice. You should go into radio." I had never thought about radio,
Hmm.
so I not for one moment never thought this was going to be my career, and I applied for a job at WIGO, and I already had a full time job as a proofreader at a company. So I applied for this job at WIGO, the heart and soul of the city. So it was 1984, 85, somewhere in there. And as a receptionist, they didn't have anything else open. So I told the program director, one day I said, "I can do what they're doing." And he says, "What do you mean?" He sat back. He's a big guy. He sat back. He said, "Oh, so you think so, huh?" I said, "Yeah, I think so." Don't ask me why. I don't know where that grit came from, but I would, me, no, that's not even who I am. But anyway, so he said, "Okay, you're on and on Friday," and this was a Wednesday. I was scared. I was just scared. He had somebody train me for 2 days, and the rest, as we say, is history. Worked in St.
Wow.
Petersburg, worked in the Tampa market, Columbus, Georgia market, and then Atlanta. And it's just been a joy. It's been a joy to work in this market for over 30 years. So it's been phenomenal, phenomenal. Yeah.
That is truly outstanding. And not only that, but just you taking a chance on yourself, right? And just being able to jump in there because the other part of it was that you had to show up too.
Oh yeah.
It was you had to be in the room and be present and not shy away from it. And it speaks to overcoming adversity, especially with the first individual telling you, basically you're not getting jobs because you're black.
Yeah.
And so when you think about just media and radio, because we hear a lot just about race in media and being able to overcome that. what has been your push or your story of inspiration to overcome the hurdles in media to where you have been in it? Like you said, over 30 years. That is so phenomenal.
I have to tell this story. One of my first positions after Jazz Flavors was as like a general manager for Kiss 104. This was before it's the Kiss 104 it is today. Um, so, they sent me out for training, and, I got to do a lot of different things. So I went to this training in Utah, 7 days. It was when it was sweet. You had your own room, it was nice. You had money and all of that. So I had my own room. So I go into the training room. I'm the only female and the only Black person in that room. The 10 white males that were there did not speak to me, didn't ask me to sit with them, did not engage with me or anything. I was so taken aback by that. I think too that I did not really experience racism growing up. I experienced it in college when I was at Berry College. Oh my God, did we experience it there? But, just in my life, I had not really experienced racism to that degree. And for 7 days, I was sort of the pariah of the group. I sat by myself, I ate by myself, all of that. It was really, really interesting. Fast forward to maybe 2018. One of the men who was a part of that group actually came and worked at Cox Media Group downtown where I was. And he wanted to meet and engage with everybody. And I said, "Oh my God, what do I do here?" You know. So I went in, I said, "Hi, how are you? Do you remember me?" He was like, "No, I don't think I've ever met you." I said, "No, you did meet me." But I was real calm, smiling and everything. And I replayed the story to him. Do you know he said, "Oh no, we would never do that. I would never be a part of anything like that." And I said, "But you were, sir." He apologized. He said he didn't remember, but he apologized. But sometimes you have to weigh, do I say something or do I not say something? But I thought at that moment that it was worthy of me just repeating this story to this man. I hope he remembers it till the day he leaves this earth, that how he treated somebody, and then he had to come back and see that person, but he didn't know it. But he apologized. He didn't last maybe a year. He was gone. He was like, "I'm out of here. These people too much for me." But but I got the opportunity to at least get that off my chest. And I hope that he went back to the men that were still alive, because they were some old coops. So we're still alive to say, "Hey, we did this thing." And here it is today. I run into this lady. I know they remember the only Black female who was there for 7 days that they did not talk to. They had to.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I mean, that story right there, um, it keeps me going. It did when I was in the environment of working at Cox. I was never afraid to ask questions. I was never afraid to talk to anybody. I was never afraid to say, "Hey, I don't agree with this," or that, in corporate environment, they'll keep giving you work. As long as you accept it,
Mm-hmm.
you'll be piled high with work like this, trying to climb out of it because you don't say no. And so I remember, one day they transferred this other girl to another department, and they were trying to give me her work. I said, "I can't do it." I looked at it and I said, "There's no way." So what I did was I wrote down all of my responsibilities and really how long those responsibilities take me in a day and in a week's time. I went to my VP and I said, I know you want me to, you guys expect me to take on this person's work." I said, "But I cannot." And I slid the paper over to him and I said, these are my responsibilities already. I cannot add anything else to my plate. And he said, "Okay, we'll find somebody else to do it."
Mm.
But if I'd have taken it, I'd have taken it and I'd just be more stressed out. So
Mm-hmm.
in those times you have to learn how to stand up for yourself, speak for yourself, say what you say, and I mean, be that good employee because you're working for somebody else, but be that good person, and to be able to say, hey, I do this already.
Yeah.
I cannot take on. I can't add another grape to my plate, and
Yeah.
that's what I told him. I can't add another grape to my plate.
I like that. I said you said I cannot add another grape to my plate.
I did.
Wow.
I
And you
did.
know something, Tawanda, you what you hit on is so important because we think a lot of the times women think that in corporate that we have to accept
Yep.
everything that is
Yep.
given to us. And it speaks, if we were to even back that up and go outside of corporate and we look at the life and children and families and
Mm,
communities and everything that we pile onto our plate, and we get to a place where, like you said, I cannot accept another grape on my plate. And unfortunately, sometimes that happens after we've got an illness, we've got some
yes.
type of something that has manifested. And I love the fact that you recognized it, even within your career to say, okay, no, I know when enough is enough.
Yeah.
So, what advice could you give to a woman that is in that space of saying yes, 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 to say, okay, enough is enough, and I cannot add another grape to my plate?
I think about myself when I first started in radio, I was scared. I was scared to say anything. I remember my first contract negotiation, and the guy wrote, did the old school thing, wrote a number on the paper and slid it over to me. And I was like, and something just rose up in me when I saw those numbers.
Yeah.
I was pregnant. I was pregnant with my second child. And I looked at that. I said, is this what you think I'm worth? Or is this what your budget is?
Mm,
I was mad.
mm.
And he said, well, it's really kind of what the budget is. I said, then find somebody else. I quit because I am not working for that. Okay.
Yes.
I'm out of here, pregnant and all, walling out. And there has to come a time when you say, enough, I cannot. I know my self worth. I do a great job. I work with integrity and excellence. And y'all not going to run over me. Pay me what I'm worth if you can. And if there are other ways that we can manage, because like in radio, and listen to this now, in radio makes you, you don't make radio. If you want to act crazy and say, well, I'm not going to do what you tell me to do, I'm not following directions, I'm going to do this, I'm going to drink on the job, it's a whole lot of rules. Then they'll just say, okay, bye. They'll buy you out your contract if you have a contract, and they will tell you goodbye. So understand that you have to work with integrity. You have to know your worth, and just do the job that you're being paid to do. Okay. So when they start piling stuff on, you have the right to say yes or no. You really do. I know Georgia is a right to work state. They can fire you for anything. You look at them wrong, you fired. But know you, know your self worth, and understand that you just can't take no more. When we when we moved from Jazz Flavors to Kiss, so they asked me to stay on as public affairs director. So I said, okay. No, they didn't, not at that time. So I said, well, I'm going to need a job. This was my VP then. And he said, okay, well, let's get you a job in corporate. Now, corporate, mind you, is up at Lake Hearns, at Perimeter.
Yeah.
I live on the south side near the airport. So I said, well, there's nothing here because I live where I live. And funny guy that he was, he said, oh, you can just buy your house out here. I was like, oh, really? So where am I going to get that $500,000 to buy a house out at Perimeter? It's like, oh, you could just buy a house out here. And I say, and another thing is, I don't want to be in traffic for an hour and a half, 2 hours in the morning and on the way back home. So sometimes you have to weigh it out. I could have had a job at their corporate office, but I had two kids, single. I'm a single mom. I liked being home for them when they got off the school bus. I liked being there for after school things. And so I just said, no, never mind. I'll find something else. And then 2 weeks later, they asked me to stay on as public affairs director. But you got to know what you're doing and who you are and what's important to you, because my children were important to me at that time.
And I think that that is so important and impactful. And I can identify with that. And I can identify with it because in my career I've traveled a lot and had to
Yeah.
go different places. But the one thing that I keenly remember was making sure that, one, like you said, the company recognized the value that you brought to the table.
Hmm.
And it was a posture. It was a posture of not begging, but really proclaiming,
Yeah,
and not in an arrogant way or anything like that, but it's just the nature of, the skills and the talents that you can bring to the table. And in
that's
honesty,
right.
it's a two-way interview, because you don't want to take on a role or a position that, like you said, would, you could have taken it, but then that would have added an hour here and there and everywhere. And now the stress
Hmm.
level is
Hmm.
up, and the quality of life and the things that are important to you are
Right,
suffering.
right.
And so I love the fact that you talked about not only advocating yourself, but recognizing that you have a right to say no. And even more so, when a company really wants you, they will make it so that it can work, just as
Right,
this company did. And they
right.
identified a space that was great, a good fit directly
Hmm.
as it relates to you.
Yeah.
So this is awesome. Tawanda, I want to ask a question just about like self-limiting beliefs. So and what I mean by that is, when you think about your journey and you think about the nature of how you showed up or even how you got to this place, what were some of the things that you felt you had to overcome in order to continue to remain in radio, be vigilant and diligent in radio, as well as resilient, right? You really have to be resilient to remain in the space of radio. And so there's these external pressures, but then sometimes there are these internal conflicts.
Absolutely.
So what was one, at least, that you had to overcome along the way?
I'm going to be very candid, very transparent. Um, I grew up in an abusive household. So I was always that girl under the radar because I was scared. I grew up scared. I didn't realize that until I got to be an adult, but I was always scared. And so that limited me in what I felt like I could do, and I remember somebody saying, you need to be doing this or you need to be doing that. And I said, nobody wants to hear what I have to say. Nobody wants to hear me, just feeling that rejection. I was afraid of rejection and I was always scared. So that kept me, and I was not a risk taker, still not a risk taker, but that kept me from certain opportunities that I think I could have had or could have, gotten a little bit farther in my journey, because I was scared. I was just scared all the time.
So when you think about it, because what's interesting is you're in radio, and like you said, no, you thought that at one point no one wanted to hear from you. And now you have a voice that can be heard in homes across the nation, which is so impactful and powerful, and even a testament to the story and even the ministry that you were on and that was working through you, even as a young child. And at what point do you think there was the tipping point where you said, okay, no, I need to advocate for myself, or I need to walk in this space of capacity where I can, exercise my voice in such a way that it should be heard?
I think that first job where they offered me pennies, and I was and huge pregnant, and I was like, lose the job or not, I'm out of here, dude. Bye,
Yeah.
deuces. I think that was really the first time, and that had to be maybe 5, 6 years into my career. Yeah, yeah. It kind of took me that long to understand and recognize my voice. It took me about that long. Yeah. Yeah.
When you think about, thank you, I want to ask you a question about effective communication. And when you think about effective communication as a radio host, what strategies do you use to communicate effectively as well as build connection with your audience?
And I love, love, love talking to an audience. I think what I learned over the years is that you and I have something in common. If you're blue, if you're purple, if you're white, if you're pink, we got something in common: family, love, desire, passion. We want those things. We want to be successful in life, we want to be prosperous. And I think as long as you speak to those things that you have inside of you, when you speak to those things inside to another person, that you just connect. My boys would always say, "Mom, do you know them?" Nope. Why are you talking to everybody? Because I can't. And my mom says, "I never meet a stranger." I don't. Because you connect with somebody, but don't try to be all ethereal and, oh, pie in the sky, all that kind of stuff. Connect at your level. Hey, are those your kids? Is that your grandchild? Oh, he's so beautiful. What's he doing now? Oh, is he walking? Is he gurgling? You know, people love to talk about life and love to talk about themselves. Don't go into a thing talking about you. Let them talk about somebody, interview somebody. My mom says, "Oh, she's interviewing." I'm not interviewing, I'm connecting. And
Right.
so I love, love, love. I love doing that. People need that. People need that in the world. There's a lot of people nobody talk to. Nobody ever asked them about themselves. Nobody's. It appears like nobody's caring, and you can make their day just by asking a question. How you doing, sweet pea? How's it going? You having a good day? If I see somebody with this sad face, I'll be like, "What's wrong? What happened to you? What's going on?
Right.
You want
Hmm.
to talk about?" I don't even know them, but you connect on that level. It's such a human level. And I think that's where you go to connect every day, every time.
I love that because it's also, I mean, in order to connect, you have to care. And you have to really be interested and really care with the soul of a person.
That's
And
right.
even to your point, the space of the audience, because people feel and sense authenticity. And they know if it's position to your point or if it's
Hmm.
even pompous. But I think that to your point, it's the space of really being able to care and lean in, and people feel that you care. People feel the
Yeah.
compassion and feel
Yeah.
the energy
Yeah.
as well. I want to ask you about, and then we'll take a quick break. Well, believe it or not, we're almost halfway through the segment already. But I do want to ask you to the note of caring about your passion, specifically as it relates to senior citizens and as it relates to the community. So, when you think about your desire to be an advocate and to care specifically for those groups, what led to that interest in caring specifically for them?
You know what? I have a extremely huge family. I grew up with my grandparents in the country down in Florida. We talking about dirt, sand, snakes, armadillos, all of that. And so I grew up in the country in the summers and the city, during school time. And my grandmother had 9 children. She has 9 children. She's 97. All of her children are still living, including my mom. And watching
Beautiful.
them as a unit, they are so helpful, so loving. So if you feed you, my grandmother used to say, you can feed 10 just as well as you can feed one. You know, she make a pot of beans and some rice, and that was it, and some cornbread. But I watched them how they treated community, how they grew up, how they treated each other, how they loved each other, and they still do. It's amazing. I know that's where I got my sense of community from. It's from my family. I got a huge, huge family now. I mean, we got great grands, great grands, great great grands, and great great grands. So it's like 5 generations already. And we just came from celebrating my grandmother's 97th birthday.
That's beautiful.
And I saw some children. I was like, oh, who your mama? Who you? Because it's so many,
So
we
many.
don't know who they are, and it's just beautiful. But we cook for everybody. When we share, when we buy, we just, they're so sweet. If we do something on Mother's Day, all the women bring something for all the women. You know, if we do something on Father's Day, we bring something for the men. We just share love all the time, and I really can truly say that I got that from my family.
That you share love all the time. Oh my goodness, this is just so impactful. And thank you, Tawana. So I'm going to give you a quick moment to grab some water. I'll pull you backstage and then bring you back up for the second half of our
All right.
show. So when I tell you, just such a dynamic time with Tawanda, you all are tuned into Women with Grit, again, where we interview dynamic women around the world who are doing amazing things in the lives of others, as well as within their community and their industry. And Twanda Black, when I tell you, she is really touching on a lot of amazing things. And as you guys know, I'll give you a couple of snippets, but make sure that you're tuned in. If you know someone who could leverage this information or use it, please go ahead and share the link. Share, because we believe that sharing is caring. And you can find us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/exceptional women with grit. You can also find us on YouTube at youtube.com/the @ and women with grit, or you can find us on our website at www.womenwithgrit.com. Listen, Tawanda said a couple of things. One, you got to bet on yourself. Be your biggest advocate when it comes to representing yourself. Be okay with saying no and knowing when no is enough. I love the fact that she said, her tagline was, I cannot add another grape on my plate, right? So that's recognizing that when it's a good time to stop, when it's a good time to say, okay, no, trust your voice and be able to lean into that. So I'm not going to go through all of my nuggets because we want you guys to definitely tune in and listen specifically as it relates to Tawanda. But you guys are in for an amazing treat. So feel free to leave your city, state, and name in the chat function so we can be sure to acknowledge you and say hello, as well as reach back out to you. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the chat function as well, and we will be sure to get them to Tawanda so that she can respond accordingly as well. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to bring back up Tawanda so we can talk a little bit more, not only about radio, but get to know Tawanda even in more depth as well. So welcome back to the stage, Tawanda.
Thank you.
Thank you again for taking an opportunity to grace the stage and really, really spend time with us. One of the things that I want to ask you now is really about women in media and women in the industry. You talked about early in your career, you were one of few, and you said you were the only woman in the room, women as well as African American. When you think about the industry then, and when you think about the industry now, what are some things that you've seen that has been a good change and that can empower women, and what's left to come? What are the opportunities that still exist within radio?
Well, really, a lot has not changed. It is still a very much male-oriented, dominated industry. There are some women who are making waves that are in there, but a lot of them are not our color. A lot of them are not women of color. There are some. Let me not say that there aren't any, but there are some. But I'm just saying, for the opportunities that are there, women are powerful as programmers, as VPs. Um, they're just so thoughtful, and I like the way that they command, everything. They are great at challenges, and I've seen this firsthand, when there are challenges among peers, among the employees.
Yeah.
Women have compassion. We had Donna Hall. I thought she was one of the best, and she's a Caucasian female, but she was one of the best. And I think that she loved people. I love that about her. And her yes was her yes, and her no was her no. Um, she looked at the whole thing as opposed to this little block. She didn't segment things out. She tried to look at the entire picture, the big picture, of whatever the situation was. And I watched how she was the boss, and she was the boss. She was VP for a while. Then she went over to AJC. Now she's retired, but I love the way she just commanded that entire place. And then we had another Caucasian female at the corporate level who was president for a while. So, but still a male dominated industry pretty much. And, I always tell women it's okay to be a woman in a male dominated industry. Sometimes I've noticed that women feel like they have to be hard, or they have to have the potty mouth, or because they're around a bunch of guys. But it's okay to be a woman. It's okay to be feminine. It's okay to be who God made you, you know in those situations. So all I can say is hard work, good connections, make good decisions for yourself. I'll tell you this story. I was working in a Florida market, and the general manager called me in, well, called us all in, contracts and all of that. And he said, well, they actually stole me away from another station, offered me more money. It was a bigger station, so I went. But he said to me, in order for me to move up and make more money, that I had to do certain things to him or for him. And oh yes. And I looked at that little curmudgeon. I said, you can fire me today. I mean, this was like, this is the second time I said, you can fire me today, dude. I'm out of here. No, I will not. And come to find out, some other women on the staff had been servicing him. So he just thought he would bring that to me too.
Mhm.
And I was 24. And I was like, no, sir, my mouth will not be touching that. Yeah, no,
Wow.
no.
So we hear about those stories,
Oh,
as
yes,
it relates
it's
to it.
real. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's real.
Wow.
It's real.
Wow.
So again, knowing who you are, knowing your worth, and that you ain't got to do none of that to get a job. Okay, zero. And he kept me on for a while, but I was always leery of that little man. And after a while, I was like, I'm out. I just couldn't even work there anymore. I didn't like the environment because he just made it so. Mm, he made it
Toxic.
so ugly. Yeah, yeah, it was toxic, definitely
Hmm.
toxic. And then the irony of it, we pulled names for Christmas, and I pulled his name.
Wow. Okay.
So I said, "What is the little curmudgeon like?" They said, "Oh, he likes cigars." So I went and bought him some cigars. But yeah, I thought that was funny. I said, "Okay, God, you got a sense of
Yeah.
humor."
Because he brought two people back full circle to you at two different times in life. Oh
But
my
yeah,
goodness.
know your worth, ladies. You ain't got to do none of that. I don't care what industry it is. Okay, you
That's right.
walk, you walk, you walk. If it comes down to that, because here's the thing, it's not going to stop. If you do that one time, he's going to blackmail you. He's gonna continue with that behavior with you, and then it's disrespectful. So, and I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I feel real bad when I'm disrespected. I really do. Yeah.
So when you think about just inspirations as it relates to life in general, who inspires you or who has inspired you along the way?
Gosh, I would have to say my mother and my grandmother, two scrappy women. My grandmother was born in 1924, and she fought through a lot. She's sassy. She at 97, she's still sassy and it's got a little wit about her and funny as heck. But the stories that she tells on how she survived some of those times, just being a woman during that time, amazing. I should probably write a book about it.
Wow.
And then, I watched my mom with three kids going through abuse, getting out of that, and then, having to find a job. She had to go back to college in I think she was in her 40s. And I remember us sitting at the kitchen table, you know, reading textbooks and me highlighting and going over stuff with her for testing and all of that. You know, you think about the things that women go through to survive, man, it's something. It is
Right.
something. And we have to make crucial decisions for ourselves, but especially when we have children, it changes the entire dynamic. It really does.
Does.
So those two women, and then I really have all of my aunts. I have four, and my mother, and all of those women's stories together of survival and how they made it through, just different things, whether it was challenges, ups and downs, amazing, amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. I even had my great aunt, my mom's aunt. She used to work for the circus, Barnum and Bailey. She was a seamstress, and so you imagine during the 20s and 30s, 40s, when she was on the trains with them and sewing their costumes and all of that. The stories, amazing. Just the survival, the decisions that we have to make sometimes just to get to the next step, just to make it through this part of our journey. Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to stay right there. Tell us about how important it is to have the right tribe, or specifically a
Mm,
tribe when it comes to not only just your career but life in general, because it sounds
yeah.
like you've been surrounded by a lot of inspiring and amazing women in general. How important is it for women to have that tribe and that support?
So it's very important. I have one best friend and then my mom. Um, but the tribe is good because the tribe teaches you who you want to be and who you don't want to be. Now I watch my aunties and them do some stuff, and I was like, I'm not doing that. Watching other women and paying attention to the lessons in this life is very important. You gotta have your eyes open, see things for what they are, and recognize: do you want to go that route or do you want to go that route? And but the tribe is so so important. You want people who are smarter than you, but who love you, not people who tolerate you, but they love you in spite of yourself. Okay. You want people that will tell you the truth. That's the real tribe right there, that will tell you the truth at all times. And sometimes it's brutal, but most of the time it's done in love. And so having the right tribe, and if it's not the right people, if they don't support you, one of my girlfriends was just telling me about a person that came into her life, and I said, he's not going to be the one because he's not supportive. You need people that will support you at all times. My husband is a great supporter. I love that about him. There's some other stuff, but support me 500%. He supports me 500%. And I love that. So having your tribe, whether it's male or female, so important. You want truth, you want honesty, you want realistic conversations. You want nobody telling you, oh, okay, do that. Like you see somebody sometimes with something, and I say, she ain't got no real friends.
Right,
'Cause,
exactly.
yeah, no, yeah, yeah. You know what I'm saying.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah. I say that all the time. I be like, she ain't got no real friends. Who? Mm-mm. Mm-mm. So
Surround
yeah.
yourself with the people who will be, like you said,
Yes.
consistent, supportive, and tell you the truth. Like,
True.
to your point,
That's right.
as much as I love to sing, I know I am not cut out for American Idol. And my
Ah,
friends and my son and those who are closest to me, they keep me humble to realize that's not my gift. you know and I'll have to send you a video of my son and just the whole conversation, because I like to do car karaoke, but he's just like, it's not your gift, leave it
no, that is
alone.
not it, mom.
Yes. So I want to ask this question, and in Lee's absence, it's one that he always wants to ask, which is really about the nature of men, and how important is it for men to support women, whether it be your husband or your sons, to support you in your journey. So as you think about the role that men have played in your journey and in your life, how important was it for them to be supportive as well?
Ooh, I'll tell you, my I had a husband, an ex-husband, who did not support me.
Mm.
Um, when I would come home from events, I had to fight and fuss. If he went to an event with me, why was that guy talking to you? Why did he hold your hand? Why? And we would argue all the way home. I said, this will never do.
Mm.
So, of course, not married to him anymore. But my present husband supports me, like I said, 500%.
Yeah.
Now, again, I have to go back to my family. The men in our family support the women. So we do everything together in the big family. And even in my household, it's four of us. And if it's and we call it, if we have an event at the house, we call it all hands on deck. Everybody got to help. So the men have to do
I
whatever I
love
ask them to
that.
do. They know their part, we know our part, and then we bring it together and everything goes off without a hitch. But I grew up like that. The men and the women supported each other. Now, in your life, if that man is not supporting you, I don't know what to tell you. I can't tell you to leave him. I can't tell you, whatever. But it's not good because we need support, especially a woman who is in the public eye. um, we don't need jealousy. We just need support. We need somebody that's going to help us. My husband pushes me more than I push me. Okay, he's always looking out for opportunities for me. He's always bringing me stuff, and sometimes I have to tell him, "Honey, no, you can stop. You can stop. I'm gonna let you know when I want to do whatever it is I want to do." But he supports me. I don't care what it is. He's there for me. If he has to put up banners, if he has to get down on his knees and put sound equipment together, he does, and my sons are exactly the same because I have raised them that way. And I hope that they will be a support to their wives one day. But you need the support of a good man. It's great, whether it's your grandfather, your uncle, your dad, whoever it is. That support is nothing like it. It really is. And you know what? Ask for it. If they're not doing it, ask for it because they look at us and they think we've got it all together. Y'all got this. Oh, she got that. She don't need my help. Yes, you do. Ask for it. Okay. Don't neglect to ask for it because sometimes if you don't ask, they're not going to ask you. So just ask for it. Men like to be needed. So ask for it. But it's wonderful to have men in your circle, in your journey, in your tribe. It's wonderful.
I love that. Ask for it.
Ask for it.
Be able to open our mouth and say, "Hey, I need help or I need
Right.
support," and
Right.
and be okay with that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I love that. I love that just because it speaks to getting out of the narrative that I can do it all by myself.
I'm
No.
Superwoman, right? You're
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
Take the cape off because you're not Superwoman.
Yes.
You need help. We all
Yes.
need help. We were not meant to be on this earth alone, okay? By ourselves. We all need each other. We really do.
We do. Man, Tawanda, this has been so dynamic and phenomenal of a time that we have had. I want to ask you for any nuggets that you would like to leave with our audience, anything, any specific takeaways or remarks that you would like to leave specifically with the ladies. And again, while this is Women with Grit, we do also have men that come on and actually take a glean from this stage as well. So it's definitely applicable. Anything that you would like to leave for our audience?
Yes. Last year, the entire last year of my life, I was taking care of my father who had cancer. He just passed in January. However,
Sorry for your loss.
what I want to say is let's stop self diagnosing, period. If something is hurting you, if something is different, we know our bodies, we know who we are, we know when things don't feel right. Please go to the doctor. Don't self diagnose. I tell you a funny story. So, dad is going through chemo, and we had scheduled this doctor's appointment for cardiology months ahead, right? So we go to chemo. No, we get up, we go to the cardiologist this particular day, and the first thing they do is give you an EKG when you go in to get a baseline. So they come in the room, the doctor comes in and he says, how are you feeling, Mr. Smith? And he says, I feel fine. He says, are you in any pain? No. My dad's on his phone scrolling. Okay. Um, he says, Mr. Smith, according to your EKG, you're actively having a heart attack right now. So I said, Dad, did you hear him? He says you're having a heart attack right now. I'm not gonna tell you what my dad said. So, but it was funny. Anyway, he goes out and I said, do you want me to take him to the hospital? He says, no, I have to call the ambulance. He is actively having a heart attack. He calls ahead to the hospital. They have a whole team waiting when we get there. He is uh he had to have 4 stents in 24 hours. He had already had two, they were blocked, and then he had other spots that were blocked. And so when it was over, I said, Dad, did you have any pain or did you? And so I was living with him because I mean, it was so much with the doctor, and I live 45 minutes from him. So I just, during the week, I live in. And I said, Dad, did you feel anything? Did you? He said, yeah. He said, when I went to bed last night, my chest was hurting, but I thought I had indigestion. So I just kind of sat up a little bit. I said, Dad, do you recognize that you could have had a heart attack and died at that moment, and I would have to come in and find you like that? And so I think I've just been on this campaign of let's stop self-diagnosing. Somebody else was having a stomach ache and had colon cancer. So I mean, and just so many instances of us thinking we know. We are not physicians. We're not doctors. Please, if something is different, go to the doctor. Okay? Please. It's a matter of life and death. It really, really is. That's my takeaway for life right now. It really is.
Wow. 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 I mean, all I can say is wow, because yes, just again, my condolences for the loss of your father. You are spot on in that. We will, what is it, WebMD and
Yes,
Google
girl.
everything before going to the
Yes.
doctor.
Yes.
And like you said, even in that moment, he's in the doctor's office and actively having
Oh, heart attack.
heart attack.
Yes.
Wow. Wow.
It was amazing. I still sometimes don't believe that that happened, but it absolutely happened.
Yeah.
And he had to have 4 stents within 24 hours.
4. Wow.
Four.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And he thought, oh, I had a little indigestion.
No. Mm. So stop self-diagnosing and go to the doctor if it feels different, if it feels like
Oh,
something's going on. It's better to
please.
check and be turned away than to not check,
Right, right.
you
And
know.
I know most of us are thinking, oh, it's going to cost me this much money. I got to wait. I got to, but I mean, what's the option? You could be gone,
Right.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Wow. Well, Tawanda, this has been great. Can you share with our viewers how they can connect with you, whether it be on social media or online as well?
I am on LinkedIn at Twanda Black, Facebook at Twanda Black, Instagram at the underscore real underscore Twanda underscore Black because somebody else had my name.
Mm.
I have a website, twandablack.com, and just reach out. I'd love to talk with you. You can reach me on Messenger or even IG. I am open to conversation.
Absolutely no excuses. You all know how to connect with and get in touch with Tawanda. Amazing, amazing time. So, Tawanda, thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule, out of your life to grace the stage and share your story with the viewers that we have here on Women with Grit as well. So, I'm going to do a quick recap and then we will be out of here. So, thank you so much, Tawanda.
My pleasure.
Man, when I tell you just an exceptional time, another amazing guest for Women with Grit, the space and just the amount of depth that Tawanda shared is truly, truly amazing and inspiring. She talked about being comfortable betting on yourself. So being comfortable, actually raising your hand, opening your mouth, extending your voice for things that are not along the lines of what you desire to do. Don't just accept it, right? Recognize that you have the space to say yes or say no. And that which you say yes to, you are inherently saying no to something else. So be comfortable speaking up for yourself and owning the room for yourself. Be an advocate for yourself, whether that's in your health, right? Whether that's in your home, whether that is in your job or your profession as well. Be comfortable speaking up for yourself and recognize that if you got into a space where enough is enough, the phrase that Twanda gave, which I love so much, is I cannot add another grape to my plate. So recognize when enough is enough. Know your worth and also be comfortable walking in the worth that you have. So again, you don't have to lay down with anyone, accept anything that is off, that is not aligned with your values or your beliefs or your goals in order to get ahead or acquire things. No, remain true to yourself, and the right opportunities will be there for you, as well as the right doors will open for you. Companies that do want you will continue to lean in specifically with and for you. Value family as well as your community. She talked about how large her family is and the sense of community that first existed even within her own home. So recognize that that is the case. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. So when you speak emphatically on the things that are true to you, but also where the things are that can be where you decide not to. It's okay to be a woman in a male dominated industry. Again, going back to being true to yourself, you do not have to lean into being masculine or anything that is outside of you. Be you and show up as your authentic self, even at work. Recognize and also pay attention to lessons that you learn along the way and see things as for what they are, right? You want people who are smart around you, those who love you and who will challenge you to be your best. Keep those around you, and also recognize that it is so important to keep people in your tribe and in your corner who are comfortable telling you the truth as well. Ask for it. Go for the ask, whether that's help, support. She talked about even when it came to her loved one and even those that are surrounding you. Be comfortable asking for it. Raise your hand and say, hey, I need help. Take the cape off, right? Relinquish those things that are hindering you ultimately because they're weight. But be comfortable making an ask as well as being able to lean into support when it is lent. And lastly, but certainly not least, Twanda talked about the space of stop self-diagnosing. So when it comes to something that feels off within your body, be comfortable going to the doctor, check it out, regardless of the cost, lean into that because there's no amount of money that supersedes the importance of you and your health and wellness and the ability for you to continue in life. So amazing, amazing time. Thank you so much, Twanda. This has just been so exceptional to have you on Women with Grit.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So we'll see you all next week with another inspiring and amazing story right here on Women with Grit. Take care and have a good night.
Night.